Hello, students. Welcome to Writer's Workshop. We've been asking ourselves, how can I teach my readers? Yesterday's lesson was about how you can make a comparison so your reader really understands something. If you want to explain how sharp a shark's teeth are, you could say they're sharp like a knife because your reader probably knows that a knife is sharp. So yesterday was about how you can make a comparison. Today I'm going to teach you how important it is to give an example. For instance, if you're writing in your book something about toys, you shouldn't just use the word toys. You should give a clear example as to what kinds of toys do you mean. Do you mean dolls, balls, games? So today we're going to look at some examples of giving an example to help get a good picture in your reader's mind. We're going to start off with an example from the book Lions that we started reading yesterday in Reader's Workshop. This page was all about big cats. So if you take a look, it says, lions are part of a group called big cats. Okay, we know they're talking about big cats. Right away, they give us an example of what are some big cats. Tigers, leopards, and jaguars are big cats too. So right away, they give an example. Over here, they talk about how big a lion is. How big are lions? They are much heavier than you. One lion can weigh more than 3 men. So right away, it says they're heavier than you are. So that's kind of a comparison. But also it explains that a lion can weigh more than 3 men. So right away, it's giving an example of how heavy the lion is, so you can really understand. In our book about sharks, there's a fun example of this on the page about shark pups. Over here, it explains that shark babies are called pups. Some pups grow inside their mothers, other pups hatch from eggs. So here it's saying some grow inside, some hatch. Then right over here, it gives a clear example of lemon sharks. Lemon shark pups grow inside their mothers. The lemon shark mother goes to shallow water to give birth. The pups stay near the shallow water until they are grown. So right away they give an example of what they mean when they talk about pups growing inside, giving an example. In my yoga book, all about yoga, on many of the pages I gave an example. For example, this page I start off, I'm talking about downward dog. I start off by saying in yoga you do a lot of stretches. Downward dog is one stretch. Right away I give an example of a stretch. On the next page, where I write about stuff you will need, I say, you need special stuff to do yoga. You will need a mat, water, and comfortable clothes. Right away, I give an example of what I mean. What do I mean by special stuff? I give an example. I write a list right away. Don't forget, when you're giving an example, you're probably writing a list. So don't forget, you got to have your commas. Here's an example from a book, a student book all about owls. So here, the student is writing about owl food. If I sneak peek the picture, I can see the owl flying around. There's a little label saying mouse and baby leaf tree. Okay, and I read, owls eat lots of food. They eat bugs, mice, squirrels, and other small mammals. So right away, after she writes they eat a lot of food, she gives examples of what kind of food in a list separated by commas. She does a similar thing here on this page where she writes about owl predators. Up here, she gave examples in her picture, right? In her picture, she gives the example kestrel, vulture, fox. I think kestrels and vultures are other bigger birds. And Here she writes, owls have predators too. They're predators, kestrels, comma, vultures, comma, and foxes. So again, right away she gives an example. She lists what are the predators. Lastly, let's look at this book about snakes. We've looked at the snake book before. This picture, oh my goodness, snake eating a human. Ah! And he writes, snakes eat some people now and then. And you're probably thinking, what? Right away he gives an example. In the United States, there are 5 deaths per year. So if you see a snake, watch out. Okay, so right away he gives an example of how many people, how are people eaten by snakes? And one final example from this student is, again, about food, like the example from the owl book. Here's a snake eating some food, and it says, some snakes choke their food, like the boa constrictor. They squeeze their food, right? Because I think we know some snakes are poisonous and some snakes choke their food. So some snakes kill by poisoning, some by choking. And right away he gives an example with a specific kind of snake, boa constrictors, that choke their food. So today, when you are writing your teaching book, I want you to think about how you can give a specific example to help teach your reader. Off to your writing.